Hello there, welcome back to my videos on the Lemmings Plus series, and we've finished Lemmings Plus I now, so this video we're going to be starting on Lemmings Plus II. So, originally Lemmings Plus II was a sequel that came out 4 years after the original Lemmings Plus, give or take a few months. And originally there was a planned sequel that I mentioned several times throughout the Lemmings Plus I videos. That never happened, this one did. And so this one, like the original, has 5 rankings. It was originally on the regular Lemmings engine with some additions of extra features. It's recently been moved to Neo Lemmings, just like Lemmings Plus I has. And we've got 21 levels per rank. It's 20 levels plus 1 secret level per rank. We have another once per rank level, which we'll see when we get to it. It does work a bit differently, but I'll talk about that when we get to it. And Lemmings Plus II, unlike Lemmings Plus I, also has custom graphic sets. Oh, okay, that's not it. Okay, this is the first level. Level 1, Holding Out for a Hero. Yes, it is named after the song. I think I was playing Saints Row 3 a lot at the time, and that song sort of got stuck in my head for it playing during one of the final missions. It's sort of a two-part thing, choose which mission. But anyway, so basically, Lemmings Plus II starts off with 3 levels that sort of review the skills as such. I didn't want to create 7 or 8 training levels, but I wanted to just quickly review them at the start of it. So here's our first level. So for this one we've got climbers, floaters and bashers. And yes, all 3 do need to be used for this one. Actually no, floaters don't need to be used as such. This falls survivable, this one can be avoided. The obvious solution is just take your time, come back and bash this before you bash this one. So it actually does start off with a bit of a challenging level. In general, Lemmings Plus II is a little bit harder overall than Lemmings Plus I was. It's still relatively close in difficulty. It's not like Lemmings Plus III where the difficulty went way up, but that's our first level. Level 2, Acidic Lemming. It's in the Psychedelic Graphics set, which is somewhat the inspiration for the name. And this level was actually first made to test out the Psychedelic Graphics set. Aside from that, it also brings back the blocker, builder and miner skills, and part of the reason for it is because back on regular Lemmings, now usually there's a bug where you can't mine through one way right. Lemmings Plus II fixed that bug, so for that reason this level is sort of made to force you to realise that it's fixed. Aside from that, it's another pretty simple level to start off with. And now we're on to Level 3, which is the Downwards Mission, and this one was made to test out the metal graphic set. So, and obviously it was made as an actual level as well, that's generally the case, but it was, the first test level for the metal graphic set as well. And this one's about diggers and bombers. It's also a bit tricky compared to the levels before it. Well, not before it, more like the levels after it. Sort of, gets easier for a while after this level. And that's that one done. So level 4 is another metal level. It's called Now Figure This One Out. You sort of have all the skills now. You just got to work out how to use them. You have a bit extra builders. You don't really need that many. So there is quite a few ways to do this one. Like build up to here, come through, build up, go through, or come out the side and come back up. But the simplest way to do it is just to zigzag up the middle to here and bash on through. Another thing you might notice is that this level has 100 lemmings. So in Lemmings Plus I, it was like sort of designed to follow the same structure as DOS Lemmings, so it never had more than 80 in level. Lemmings Plus II, 100 is basically the new 80. Like the majority of levels will have 100 lemmings. There are some that have less. There are actually 2 levels that have more than that. There's 2 levels with 250 lemmings. 100 is the normal value in this one. So on to level 5, which is another new graphic set. Now this one never really had a proper name, it's always and still just referred to as the purple graphic set. And this was its test level, like proof of concept, not proof of concept, I don't know what the word is, just basically the first level I made in this graphic set just to do something with it. It's another fairly open-ended level, quite buildery in the obvious route. This is also the first level that was repeated in the Lemmings Plus II bonus pack. Lemmings Plus II is a bonus pack which has a few repeat versions of the easy levels. It's also got some new levels based off gimmicks. I'll talk more about gimmicks when we get to a gimmick level. So yeah, Lemmings Plus II itself doesn't really have repeats. I mean, it's got a once per rank level, and if you remember the downwards mission, there's a corresponding level, the upwards mission, which basically flips the positions of the start and the end. There's also a series of 3 level in cunning that are almost the same, just with minor differences, but overall Lemmings Plus II is doesn't really have repeats as such. Definitely nothing like Lemmings Plus I had. So on to level 6, which is Capsule Run. It's another metal level, and this one is meant to introduce the one-way fields, which, as the name suggests, the lemming can only walk through them in one direction. So if you were to try and build back on that, the lemming would turn around. This level's a really simple implementation of them. There's a trickier one coming up as level 11 of Nice. This one's sort of a simple one just to show them there, get the basics of them. Level 11 sort of expands on that. Now originally this level, or variations on it, were going to be the once per rank level, but I couldn't really do too much with it, so another level, which we'll see in the second half of Nice, became the once per rank level instead, and it works on a slightly different way than the Lemming Plus I's No Salvation, since in No Salvation how it worked was the level was the same, you had less to do it with each time, but it was the exact same level. Whereas Lemmings Plus II's one, it reuses the same concept, it does sort of up the difficulty of it, but it's actually redesigned each time, so it's the same basic layout, but it's in a different graphic set each time. So yes, that does mean Lemmings Plus II has 5 graphic sets. You've seen 4 so far, one of them you've seen multiple times, and level 7 will show us the last graphic set, which is the desert graphic set. Now this one was actually made very late in Lemmings Plus II's development. It was, I'd say, more than half of Lemmings Plus II I think was completed before this graphic set was even started to be developed. And I mean, I had intended right from the start to have 5 of them, it's just took me a long time to get on to making the last one, I guess. And so yeah, this was also the first level made in this graphic set. You may notice, like, we've had levels in each graphic set, but I've only mentioned the first level as such for 4 of them. It's because the first level made in the tree graphic set is actually in the second difficulty rank. It's, yeah, quite a bit harder than the first levels for all the other graphic sets. So yeah, this level's sort of, I mean, it was really just made partly to put the clever pun in the name, but also just as a test sort of thing, but it is somewhat resembles Fun 11 from the original Lemmings, just with some extra obstacles. Okay, so on to level 8 now, which is Evolved Lemming. Yay, another tree level. And, okay, I don't really know what I was thinking of with the name for this one, but it's a pretty simple worker level. It's generally how it is in the first rank. The levels are mostly simple worker ones, some are a bit trickier worker ones, so yeah, difficulty does start to pick up a little bit more quickly than it did in Lemmings Plus I, especially once we get on to the second rank. Like, in the second rank of this one is kind of similar to the third rank of Lemmings Plus I in terms of difficulty. And from there the curve sort of isn't as steep. So on to level 9, and this is our first gimmick level. Something's not right here. So basically what gimmicks are is like they change the mechanics of the game slightly, and this one, like, it gives an introduction screen after this explaining what's going on, but you can probably notice what's going on right here on this screen. If you notice, it says 75% to be killed, not saved. So this is, like, generally it's called the Karoshi gimmick, named after the Karoshi series of video games, which is basically a platformer where you try to kill yourself instead of beat the level. And as this explains what gimmick levels are, and that the goal here is to kill the lemmings. So, as you can see, there's an exit, which obviously you want to avoid, because you're not trying to save lemmings here. You've got a unique music, which is shared by all the gimmick levels in Lemmings Plus II and its bonus pack. It's also used for some levels in the Lemmings Plus III bonus pack as well. And there's a few ways to kill the lemmings here. You can set up fatal falls in several places. There's a trap here, there's water here, and you've got bombers. And yes, bombers do count. Basically, in these Karoshi levels, the only way of killing a lemming that doesn't count towards the requirement is if they fall out of the level. That's still not counted, but anything else, drowning, burning, exploding, stoning. The other thing is, on these levels you cannot use the nuke. Like, okay, you can't really tell that I'm clicking it, but I am. And notice how it doesn't work, so there's no shortcut in Karoshi levels, just nuke them. That just doesn't work. So we're on to level 10 now, which is Lemming Snack. So this is coming back to the purple graphic set, and as you can see we've got a bit of a steep save requirement on this one. Now it looks like they're just going to walk to the exit, but in fact this tentacle and this one, they like to eat your lemmings. So obvious solution here is you have to go around them, or under them, or over them, too high for them to eat from. Now one lemming did go up here. As you can see, he's fenced in, so he's not going to go off and die. And okay, that'll be it for the first video. Hope you're enjoying it, and it'll get more interesting as it goes on, as was the case with Lemmings Plus I. But until the next video, yep, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one shortly.